What's up everyone, it's Jambor's new video, and this video will be a talk about who are the dark horses of Eurovision 2025 with some tips, tricks, or maybe the measurements I calculate. Like, first of all, what dark horses kind of are. It's those acts, those artists, or those songs, those countries which are not in somehow big favorite, big scope, or really the favorites to win, but somebody who can surprise, who might surprise, who's maybe not under such a scope, who's not talked that much in the sense of being a winner, even though some of them probably are thought about dark horses, or maybe even all of them, because everybody has a little bit different preferences. What I would need to do in here are some disclaimers. First of all, I still think Austria is by far the superior song to win Eurovision Song Contest based on song itself. I have really low doubts about also the performance, but by the song itself there is a zero competition to the quality of composition and all the production value of that song. So I think this is a really clear favorite. Also in this list won't be a France. Not because I don't think it doesn't have a quality to win, but I wouldn't really count it as a dark horse. It's one of the favorites to win, let's say, even though I think it's like Austria, and then also it's Swedish Kyiv, which I don't also put into this dark horse race, basically, because it's also one of the favorites to win, and it makes no sense to do obvious, right? And maybe also it's very important to say that, and this is what I will do always after every single song talking about, is that's why I think it's a dark horse, but where I myself realistically see the position of this song, realistically, again, from my own perspective, by my own reasons, by my own subjective thoughts. It's all about it, I of course have this professional approach. I see it as a producer. I see the things which are not that great, things which are maybe great, but also it doesn't mean I understand everything or I need to be 100% right, because it's still music and there is still 26 countries in the finals and 37 in total, which might either of them can kind of surprise, especially in the year where the overall quality and the average quality really rapidly went down, and we can even saw it by numbers what those songs are making on streaming platforms, that the interest to listen to those Eurovision songs is not really quite huge, despite some artists are kind of huge in their countries, and still the numbers are not like crazy. Anyway, that doesn't mean that this Eurovision won't be great, and maybe it will be one of the most interesting series just because of the fact it's very, very hard to tell how it's gonna really end up, because there are many songs which can very surprise somehow, and maybe not even the ones I have on the list, but this dark horse race, it's basically kind of dark horse for a win or much better result, let's say, than maybe is expected. So if you're ready, which my 5 dark horses are and why, let's follow up this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, become members or support this channel. You can also buy me a coffee, of course, would be nice. Anyway, let's move on. So the first dark horse I have on my list is Ukraine. And Ukraine is there, and I wrote this. Might not be the best song on earth, and it's very indie, but the performance is screaming quality and somehow is mesmerizing, regardless that's performed in the club or in national selection. Band is also using live back vocals, adding the depth and layers to the feeling from the performance. And I think this is something what is Eurovision very unique and special about that. Regardless, you don't have songs which you would listen too much, maybe in the Spotify or somewhere else, it doesn't mean that the song as a performance wouldn't work. And for me, for example, this is extreme example as Ukraine, because this is not a song I would really like, but when I see the performance, when I see how they perform and what kind of atmosphere, soul, feeling comes from the whole performance, it feels so authentically good, and it's genuinely good performed, very well performed. with the flavors which are kind of unique nowadays, Eurovision, because everything there, it's live, or it feels live. Of course, not the instruments, but the whole overall feeling from the sound. It's something what almost none other song will have. And this authenticity and kind of genuinity, genuine feeling, its biggest strength. This is the country which on my list, if I should bet, will end up the best. And my personal tip that Ukraine, unless all the odds, will end up in top 3. And I don't think it's just because the diaspora vote. I think, and political situation and so on, I think also juries will vote for it, because when I watched all the performances already from all the countries, this feels also with, let's say, a little bit Albania for sure, and definitely with Lithuania, the real authentic thing. It doesn't scream to me Eurovision. It doesn't scream to me pleaser. It doesn't scream to me anything what would not belong, or it's there just because of some fans would like to see it, or it's because Eurovision needs this because this is kind of formula or formative for Eurovision. This is itself. It's itself completely. Feels absolutely authentic. This is it. And I think authentic and also quality as a performance. Again, I'm saying I'm not a big fan of the song itself, but I'm a huge fan of the performance. And after all, Eurovision is about performance. The whole complex thing, the full package, as we tend to say, not about if it's just a good song. Because for this, you have Spotify. Eurovision is audiovisual thing. So this is what I think about Ukraine, the first one, but let's move on to the second one, which is Albania. In Albania, I wrote this. This goes with the fans of Eurovision, but I think it can resonate even outside the bubble, and for sure with the jurors. Melodically, extremely strong and specific, aka memorable. Artistic performance with understandable line for masses, yet having some extra weirdness to it. For sure, one of the best songs this year and extremely memorable act. And by this, I mean that it's very magical, this performance. Somehow, you cannot get it out of the head. Somehow, despite its big artistry, and you may be, or some of you would say, hard to understand song, or this song will be hardly taken by fans and so on, which might still happen somehow. I definitely don't doubt juries, but what I kind of think, it's this specific, very specific, understandable melody core of it, which you can really follow. What it frees you up. It has this very specific, bold guy part of this Zerm song recital, which is weird, but on the other hand, it makes it extremely memorable. The song is extremely visually memorable also for this, also sound-wise. So there's so when you will say who will you vote for, you have so many things to say, this weird song, this artistic song, this song with the bald guy talking. So many points of reference which you might remember to talk about, but which still coherently makes one good working body as a performance and also as a song. So if I think that something is a definition of Dark Horse, it's also Albania. It's a song which can really surprise. Again, it has something extremely genuine in it. It has something which doesn't says and screams Eurovision in it, which I think it's extremely important, because in my opinion, and with so many producers I talked, and with so many artists I talked and so on, they all have what is the Eurovision formula, or at Eurovision this and this will work. And I'm always saying forget about what was at Eurovision before. It's not about this. It's about to bring a best possible song, best possible authenticity, best possible quality, combination ideally. Make it happen and make it how you would like to do it. Don't look at Eurovision. Eurovision is just a platform. It's a stage where you can do whenever what you want. Don't look what Eurovision is all about. This is not it. This is just how we basically conservate Eurovision in something which doesn't really progress. And I think actually that's the opposite, and Albania is doing the opposite of regress. It's a progress again, in my opinion. Even the one which we maybe didn't expect it, and it might be a surprise winner. Might be. Again, as in the beginning I said, I don't believe it's a winning song, but I believe it will do extremely well, and definitely if I should put some country into the position of dark horse of winning it, Albania is part of this list, deservedly in my opinion. And my personal tip for Albania is that will end up in top 10. I would say like position number 6 to 8, more precisely. I don't think it will go better, my personal feeling, but still that would be amazing result. But still, I really think it might surprise even me. So I'm very curious, what about you, in the comments below. And let's move on to the other country, which is Italy. And everybody is crazily sleeping on Italy, and it's not because I'm fan of Italy, not even this song a fan. I'm not listening to this song on Spotify, it's not my favorite song. It doesn't have this studio version vibe as it has as a live performance. And as I said before when I was talking about Ukraine, Italy has the power, or Lucio Corsi has the break power to perform live. And as far as what I research is that he will perform very simplistically, no crazy effects or something very technical or something, probably a genuine concert-wise performance. And I think this is a contradiction, and a good contradiction to how you can also perceive music, because if it will be shot well, then what else you actually need? It's also said you don't need extra props, extra effects, extra whatever. You need a great performance, and that might mean million things. But Lucio Corsi is brilliant in this authenticity. I remember when I was watching Sanremo, I was watching this performance, I was like a little bit like detached by his looks, with this clownish thing and so on, because it kind of was disturbing for me. And this is a personal thing, like nothing against it, but he completely owned me after few, I would say, tenths of seconds of the song. First of all, it really works, but second of all, the way how he can deliver the atmosphere, the act, the feeling, the show, the, you know, this live, genuine, touching thing, which it's hard to describe. He can really deliver something extremely crazily good. And this is Lucio Corsi, and I think this matters, and I think we're forgetting about it, that we are giving tips what you should do. You know, hardcore fans, they have millions of tips like how things should do, but after all, the real professional maybe doesn't need crazy things. It might be also a good choice, it might be also a good way, but Lucio Corsi doesn't need it, because he's super strong by himself. And maybe against this is a key to do amazingly great result, maybe even winning. Like, I'm pretty sure that jurors will love it, because the performance of his is exceptionally good, and he makes the song something very different than it is in studio version. And this, after all, this is a recipe in my opinion for Eurovision in general. Okay, the performer who can elevate his or her own song. Mostly we see the opposite. We have kind of a good song, performer, all like okay, but the real performer can elevate the song and make it feel really authentic. And this is, I think, the biggest strength of Italy in general, because those artists are most likely sending the songs or having the songs which they are on their own story, their own feeling, their own thing, their own artistry, which is genuine to the career they have, regardless you like it or not. It depends, you know. But it is real, and the real things has real potential. And I think Italy has a huge potential. My potential is top 10. My personal tip, again, 8th to 7th place. My top might be even top 5, but definitely a dark horse. And another dark horse is Czechia. I wrote it even though I'm not a big fan of the song myself, but I'm also not blind, I'm also not deaf. For me, this song is kind of ununderstandable, so many things, a big pleaser to every single group, and mostly Eurovision and queer community, which I don't think it's the general audience of Eurovision after all, and definitely misses me in this case. But that still doesn't mean I'm blind and deaf. And if somebody from the region of Czechoslovakia can do a great result, is first of all Adonis. I know him personally, not even like not close, but I know him, I know his performances, and I know he can do it already. You know he can do it. It's finally an artist who you don't need to be worried that he could sing, and his singing, I think it's the big specificism of this Eurovision participation of Czechia. Because okay, that he can like singing, it shouldn't be doubted in general. It shouldn't be a thing at Eurovision. Like, that should be automatic that artists can sing their songs. But this is, I think, the way how he does it. This is maybe why I'm disturbed by this also dance break because I think it feels artificially added there, doesn't belong, but this is just my thing, you know. Anyway, but I wrote this. This is still a mystery song for me personally, but it is also fulfilling the definition of a dark horse, and Adonis can bring something fresh, deep, but also dynamic, supported by a dance. How the audience and juries will take this is in the stars, and it can go anyway, but there is this big exclamation mark. Adonis is a performer, and his presence on stage is just simply confident. This radiates and might score unexpectedly high scores. And I think this is also one of the keys, that the artist, it's not like, definitely it already feels that he's absolutely prepared, which now it's not about him and his stage presence in my opinion, because he will deliver this. It's about how it will be done as a staging, how it will be shot, how it will be edited, how it will be, I don't know, walkie choreographed, how it will feel in general. I think this is the biggest weakness of past years of Czechia, that there are always so many ideas, so many things, and you're focusing on so many things, after all remember nothing from the songs, and keep you somehow very calm, you know, nothing really. And this is different because first of all, Adonis has this power to at least make you curious, what is going on now. Then basically he changed in the songs many things, and you will be surprised. He has a great stage presence in my opinion. I think it's too queerish for me, but this is him after all, and like if it's genuine like that, fine. And still, and I think this is biggest thing on it, it's very confident. It's confident in a nice way. It's confident, I know what I'm doing, I'm not why I'm here, I'm not nervous, I'm not afraid, I'm not stressed, I'm here to enjoy the thing, whether you like it or not. And I'm a big fan of this approach because that radiates through the screen. I'm here owning it, knowing what I do. No one's putting pressure on me. I'm putting the pressure on myself because I kind of know I can do it. And I think it's very underestimated, I don't know how to say, underestimated perk or characteristic of the artist. If the artist knows what the artist is doing on the stage without screaming, I trained it, even though it's always must be practiced. By practice you earn confidence, and by confidence you can develop your artistry. It's all connected, and this is there, and it feels cool, and it feels fresh, and it feels enjoyable, and it feels easygoing. It feels easy. It's easy for the guy to do it, even though there are hours and hundreds of hours and thousands of hours maybe of daily practice and focus, which finally is there, and it makes sense. It's not just talks. You can clearly see that Adonis, if something, it's the definition of professionalism, which this era, and now I'm in Prague, you know, this area, Czechoslovakia, really needs and must this focus. It's absolutely regardless if you like such music or not, but it's then you can become international, because I think in international level this is also a thing which we shouldn't need to even talk about, because it's a must. Without it you have no chance. And I think Adonis has a chance definitely for this. I personally, regardless, this is what I just said, wrote that my personal tip is 14th to 10th place. I don't think it will be better from my personal perspective. It's just because I think it's too big pleaser, the song, and it's too pushing on something hard to call, but it's very hard to say what this song is. Not what it's about, whatever, but what it is. It screams. This is the most Eurovision screaming song in my list. And it feels like a pleaser, which I don't think if general audience and juries can really agree with, especially with the fact that Adonis is not the only really good singing artist there, and there are actually plenty this year, which is great for Eurovision. But still, those would be amazing results, right? But still, I think, and there is something in me that I would be blind and I would be ignorant if I won't put him as a dark horse, because there is something which might surprise, and I really would be glad if this surprise even me. That would be brilliant. And let's move on to Netherlands, because this is the last country on my list. And yes, it's very high in the odds, but no one really talks about it. It's there. I'm not over the moon with the song and so on. But if I look on the list this year of the songs, this is clearly one of the best songs, best composed, best potential, best long-term potential. It's not just a song before and after Eurovision. I think this can be in around 4 years, because this is this like a good universal pop hit. With this hit maybe in, but in comma, but still I think it is there. And I wrote, Claude is high in the odds, yet it's a song which is not spelled so much and so often. Is this quite favorite? I would say it's more likely a dark horse, as it excels in its normality with understandable element and yet quality. It has all the advantages in it as it goes to the ears of universal audience. And we cannot forget that Claude is a brilliant performer and one of least who can elevate such a song on a stage quite well. And this, I think, it's the biggest weapon, let's say, of Claude and Netherlands themselves, that they have artists, and Claude himself is an artist who, even though has a simplistic song, but this is characteristic to his all albums, all songs, they are all very simple and simplistic, but they have this very playful energy, and he is very playful and he has this energy, and yet it's also authentic to him to do so based on such songs and based on such music. And then when you see him performing the song, it has another layer, another vibrant moment of the song. So even with the, let's say, universal but little bit more average to average song, let's say, he can make it an A-level song. He can make it because you're enjoying his presence, and for him such a music, it's so genuine and authentic that you could feel it from his body language, you can feel it from his eyes. It's not that it doesn't feel that practice, that hard. It's very easy, natural going. Like if you put him in the bar, the microphone, he will do you this kind of show without having a feeling that all of it was practice, that every single move and element was that practice. He's natural. He's not this super hard working feeling man, and probably he is anyway, but everything looks easy. It's the opposite of, let's say, Adonis. Even though it looks extremely great practiced and does well professionally, extreme professionalism, this feels like this natural born talent. I'm doing everything with joy, it feels like nothing, even though he needs also to practice such things and so on. It feels just, I'm there, give me the mic, we have fun, I will do this, say goodbye, and I will come again whenever, This is how it feels, unpushed. And I think this is why this definitely is on my list for being dark horse, or not. I'm sure of it. This is why it's there, and why this, I would say that only Ukraine and Netherlands, I would say, has this ultra top power to surprise the most from the list, because of some X factor, some special element which comes from the artists themselves. They just have something what the rest doesn't have themselves. And I think after all, Eurovision is won by the artist, and the song and the staging and so on, but by the artist having something special, something hardly to decode, hardly to bring, something which makes them a little bit better than the rest, even though, for example, technically or compositionally, it wouldn't be a true. But there is something radiating and screaming, this is a little bit more star level. This is why Salvador Sobral won. It's not because the song was beautiful. It was because of him was doing some magic. That was Måneskin won, even though it was extremely strong here and anybody like other artists could win, but they brought this authentically, genuinely star level. That's why Lorin won. Of course she had a superior song. But that's also one of the reasons why it also radiates everywhere. But also there is something extremely special about her, and also there was something very special about Karja. That's why he won the public voting, because there was something mesmerizing what others didn't have. That's why we are in battles after all this year, even though for me this is still a kind of a mystery. The song was superior, but also the performance and the feeling from it was kind of, there was something very special about it. And this year I think this has JJ also. That's why I think Austria will win, because there is this combination of zero doubt of a performing great song, also maybe some star level, not unnecessarily, but the difference between the quality of this is huge. But if somebody can really make this a little bit in doubt, are those five, and especially Ukraine and Netherlands, because they bring this very specific, touchable feeling which you just cannot describe what it is. But you don't need to understand, or you don't need to agree, more likely, but you can write me in the below who are your dark horses, why they are your dark horses, who do you think from those on my list will do the best results, and if you can tip which positioning it will be in your opinion. I'm curious about it, I'm curious about what you will say, also watch my other videos, predictions and so on, and hopefully I'll see you soon in the other long podcast-ish video and whatever I will have in my head to talk about Eurovision, and see you there. Thank you for watching. Bye.